fast approaching New York City mayoral race making more and more headlines around the country, with even President Trump posting about it. The city's current mayor, Eric Adams, is denying he had any plans to drop out of the race, despite reports this week Trump aides were working on a plan to offer Adams a job in the administration as a way to get him out of the race, clearing a path potentially for former Governor Andrew Cuomo to beat the Democratic candidate Zoran Mamdani. CNN White House reporter Alayna Treene is joining us now. Alayna, there are so many layers to this. Of course, President Trump, a native New Yorker. This is your reporting. What did you find?
Yeah, I mean, this has really been a fascinating thing to watch, seeing how the White House is now potentially getting involved in this mayoral race. And look, a lot of it is because they do not want Zoran Mamdani to be successful in his bid to become the next mayor of New York City. And we reported that earlier this week, Eric Adams sat down with one of the president's top officials, his Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff. They met together in Florida, and they talked about potential future positions for Adams in the Trump administration should he exit the race. And I will caution you that our sources said that there was nothing that was formally offered to Adams, but they did discuss a potential ambassadorship. One of the countries that came up in the course of that conversation was Saudi Arabia. But again, you did hear, you heard Adams yesterday. He came out. He said he wanted to speak directly to New Yorkers. He addressed them from Gracie Mansion and essentially said, I am staying in this race. He said, I'm planning to wear this mayor shirt for another 4 years. I will say as well, though, while he insists that he's going to stay in the race, sources close to Adams and his team told us that it really has become untenable, his candidacy for mayor. There are a lot of his advisors telling him that it's unlikely he will have a second term. And so his position on this could change. Now, I do want you to, as well, to listen to what we heard from the president yesterday in the Oval Office, because he was asked about this, and he essentially admitted that he believes having two candidates try to go after and defeat Mamdani would make it an unwinnable race. Take a listen.
If you have more than one candidate running against him, it can't be one. If you have one candidate, if he's the right candidate, I would say that Cuomo might have a chance of winning if it was a one-on-one. If it's not one-on-one, it's going to be a hard race. And we'll get used to a communist, and he's going to have to go through the White House and get approvals for everything, and we're going to make sure that New York is not hurt.
So you heard the president weighing, saying you think it'll be, hard if it's not just the former governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, going up directly against Mamdani. And just to make this more clear, I think the bottom line here is that this White House does want to try and clear the field for Cuomo to try and beat Mamdani in the fall. All of this, as we know, Mamdani is starting to pick up more Democratic support. We know Senator Bernie Sanders is one who is going to be backing him. So it's an interesting space to watch. For now, Adams saying he is going to be running. He's planning to stay in his seat as mayor, but that could still change.
All right, more to come on this. Alayna Treene from the White House, thank you so much for that. And as Adams and Cuomo try to position themselves as alternatives to Mamdani, we're seeing an interesting dynamic among elected Democrats. Top Democratic leadership on the Hill reluctant to endorse the Democratic socialist Mamdani, including House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. There is some pressure mounting on Democrats to support him, considering that he got tens of thousands of young voters to come out to the polls, a demographic that Democrats have been struggling with. And tonight, independent Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders is joining Mamdani at a town hall in Brooklyn. CNN senior reporter Isaac Dover is there in Brooklyn covering the rally for us. Isaac, help people understand the significance of Bernie Sanders joining Mamdani on stage tonight.
Well, look, Bernie Sanders is probably the most popular figure in the Democratic Party still, and he is back here, home in Brooklyn, at Brooklyn College, where he first started attending college and ended up graduating from here. But there's been a real surge of passion and energy for Mamdani, and for Sanders, he has been looking for who is going to continue the work of his political agenda past him. He's in his 80s. He was about to turn 80, rather. He is likely not so going to be in the Senate for too many more years, even though he was just reelected. And we will see what the future holds. He is, in a sense, very much passing the torch to Mamdani here, among others, in the political world, but doing it right on stage at Brooklyn College in a room that already we're about an hour out from when this event starts, that is really lively, a lot of energy here to see the two of them together. I was with them earlier in the day as they marched in the Labor Day parade here in New York, and huge excitement for both of them. It's just a lot going on with the connection between the two.
Yeah, and it is interesting more broadly for Democrats across the country, but also two of whom are from Mamdani's home state of New York, as they kind of wrestle with the fact that Mamdani was able to put together this coalition of voters, beat someone in the establishment like Andrew Cuomo in that primary, and at the same time, he is a self-proclaimed democratic socialist, and there are Democrats very uncomfortable still with his politics. What is he doing to try to bridge that gap?
Well, he's been reaching out to a lot of people, developers, money people, all sorts of other political leaders in New York. But as you say, it's a quirk of coincidence, essentially, that both the Democratic leader in the House and the Senate are themselves Brooklyn residents. And so they are expected as local politicians to have a say in who they want the mayor of New York City to be. They have not endorsed the Democratic nominee, and it's not clear if they will, when they will. That's creating a lot of tension in local politics, but they're also thinking about how the electorates across the country might look at the Democratic Socialist platform that Mamdani is running on and will implement if he wins and if he's mayor of New York City next year.
And we were just hearing from our colleague Alayna Treene on the Trump of it all as well, that President Trump has seemed to insert himself in this race as well. Of course, he lived in New York City for many, many years. What kind of variable is that in what we're seeing go on?
Yeah, Donald Trump is not very popular in his hometown, even though he did better in the presidential election last year than a Republican had done for a while. The mention of Trump's name is a sure way to fire up a lot of Democrats here. And the Democrats that I spoke to, including along the parade route today, elected officials, union members, all are looking at Trump's apparent involvement here and apparent movement to try to stop Mamdani as a way of actually galvanizing things for Mamdani. Tish James, the Attorney General, very popular Democratic figure in the state, told me that she sees both Eric Adams and Andrew Cuomo as essentially tools of Donald Trump at this point, and she's been rallying support for Mamdani. It does seem to, in a very convoluted way here, be helping Mamdani.
All right, Isaac Dover there live where we will see Mamdani with Bernie Sanders. Thank you so much for that reporting. And we're joined now by White House correspondent for Reuters, Jeff Mason. Jeff, thanks so much for being here with us. I want to pick up there where Isaac and I just left off, and I want to get your sense of why the president is getting involved with this at all.
Well, it's a good question. I think he's very interested in New York City, as you noted before. He lived there for a long time. He still has a penthouse apartment there. I think he's also using it, as he does with many things, as a bit of a foil, calling out what he considers communist ideals from the Democratic nominee. That's a message that he, as a Republican leader and a Republican politician, is happy to promote in terms of contrast with his own policies. That said, he certainly hasn't made the political decision that it would be useful for him to have him in office. Otherwise, he wouldn't be working behind the scenes, or in some cases, sort of in front of the scenes, to get another candidate to win the race.